We got another kid.
Yes, sir.
A young champion. I'm excited for you, man. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I don't think anyone expected this. You know? I don't even remember what I even said when I previewed the fight, but at this point, you were just looked at as another name.
Yeah, just food.
And that name that I'm talking about is the new 154-pound super welterweight interim WBC champion, Brian Mendoza.
La Bala.
La blah blah. Yeah. La blah. How do you feel, boss?
I feel like a world champion, man. I feel like I'm top of the world right now. It's insane. It's a surreal feeling, you know. Yeah. Like you said, you know, most people didn't believe it. I won't say nobody because I had a small circle of my people close to me that did believe in me, and I did this for them. You know, they believed in me, and I had to prove them right more than anybody else.
When you say you feel like a champion, what does that feel?
It's a crazy feeling. It's still sinking in, but it's just knowing, you know, all the suffering and sacrifices that you go through in camps and just training, just the life of a boxer, of a fighter. Just being able to make it through all those struggles and everything and come back, you know, it's had some setbacks and everything, but just to know, you know, it was all worth it. I ran into Fernando Vargas, Sr. in the gym actually and during this training camp, and I told him I was fighting and everything. He's like, hey man, like, just, you know, keep dedicating your all to this, because when they raise your hand and they wrap that belt around, like that feeling is like no other. And he was right. I can't describe it. It's an insane feeling when it makes everything worth it in that moment.
I won the WBC, a very surreal moment. In the moment, I remember feeling like I had the same feeling as when my firstborn was being born. Like in the moment of seeing him, seeing his face and the cry and all that kind of stuff. Exact same when I won the WBC title. So I can only imagine, but I get a closer glimpse of it than most people. But I always like to ask a fighter, what do they feel like after winning the championship title? Because it's something that you always kind of think about and imagine, and then you see your trail and how to get there. And then in your case, 2 losses, and you're at the bottom of cards, and you have no clue when that moment is gonna come, and then it comes just on the other night. And I know we'll get into that just a little bit, but talk to me real quick about the preparation to camp. Now I'll let my man jump in, but you're going up against 6'1", Sebastian Fundora.
6'6".
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Lord. He's like a small forward, man.
Why am I tripping? 6'6". Golly, you're going up against 6'6". I must be getting his height mixed up with somebody else on the card, one of the cards. We had a lot of boxing on Saturday.
I don't blame you.
And I'm gonna talk to you about that in just a minute. But how was the preparation of going up against a 6'6" guy? And have you ever fought against 6'6"?
Obviously not a 6'6", you know, but we had been in there with tall guys, and it's one of those things when you feel like the universe is aligning. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that's a big hot spot for UFC fighters, for MMA fighters in general, but tons of UFC fighters like John Jones still trains out there and everything. And even as an amateur, I used to help Tim Means. He's a vet in the UFC. He's a 6'2"-ish, I think, southpaw that fights inside. With, you know, rangy and everything.
Yeah.
So I felt like the universe has been preparing me for this since the amateurs. I used to help him for those 5-minute rounds and stuff. And then just over the years, but the preparation for this camp, even as soon as they mentioned it was a possibility, I went over to Top Rank and I got some work with some cruiserweights. And I was pushing them back.
Because of the height, right?
I need the height, I couldn't get a skinny dude at that weight, at first. It was like, I need the height, I need the look. I'm trying to get as similar as I can.
Yeah.
And then later in camp, so for the whole month, the fight was April 8th, but the whole month of March, I actually brought in Mike Fox.
Yeah.
And
That's
he's a 6'4" welterweight southpaw, and he has a lot of the similar punch selection and stuff. But the thing with him was that I'm not a believer in bringing punching bags to beat up on. I want difficult training. I want hard training because my confidence comes from preparation.
Yeah.
I want to know I suffered in camp. I really had to sacrifice and everything. And we brought in Mike Fox, and that was some hard sparring because he's a 6'4" southpaw that knows how to use his range. So he wasn't exactly like as come forward as Fundora, but I kept telling myself all through camp, like, I'm landing certain shots I want to land. I just have to have faith, like these are the shots I want to land. That's what I'm working on. And I started landing them a little more and more throughout camp with Mike. And I was like, if I can catch him with it, these are going to be bombs on fight night.
Brian, I've had a kind of like a unique vantage point with your career because, I've come in and out of Vegas over the last couple of years, and you were on a swing bout. Like, so not so long ago, you were on a swing bout. They put you on after the main event where almost nobody sees you. So how do you stay positive when you're at that point in your career? Because as you know, being in boxing, this sport can make you very cynical about, the fortunes of your career. So how do you stay positive?
It's just faith. Just tons of faith in myself and my team and everything. And I've always known, the talent was there. I've always had this image of Brian, in my head that what I could be, what I could do. And then just finally, building the right team around me. I got Ismail Salas that he guides me, like obviously throughout my education and boxing and stuff. And I added strength and conditioning coach Tony Brady. I've been with him like nonstop I'd say for like maybe 2 years now, since the Barrios Thurman fight, because I was Barrios' sparring partner for the Thurman fight. And ever since then, me and him got to work basically nonstop. He even moved out here to Vegas now. And that's given me the gas tank to execute my boxing knowledge, so they went hand in hand. And it was just crazy, but it's faith more than anything. And then Shawn knows you got to be a little crazy to believe that out of the whole world, you can really pull this one thing off. Yeah. So it was a mix of faith, just craziness, just
and the perfect punch against a 6'6" southpaw even is an overhand right, and that's the punch that you ultimately ended up landing, which kind of set everything up.
Right.
And a hell of a follow through with the I think it was a right hand and left hook that
it was left hook first. Left hook first.
Oh, it was the left hook.
Yeah.
But with this height, it was basically a left overhand.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, give me. Thank you.
I got
some of that. Yeah, give me some of that. Yeah. But the again, probably the perfect punch to throw, and you landed it in like perfectly.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that punch, that moment.
Like I said before the fight, that people are going to find out I'm not just a strong fighter. You can look at that fight, and even just in that little highlight clip, you can see 3 different things I set up to get that shot. And everybody knows what shot hurts you is the one you don't see. There's even pictures of me when I let the hook go. He's so tall and at an angle, it was like behind his shoulder almost.
Wow.
As it's lifting. So he didn't see that shot till it was right next to his chin, basically. So that's already too late.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was the
seeing
setup.
it in my head now. It was a hook. Yeah, I was seeing it in my head. Yeah.
But yeah, you see like that was the same thing. He didn't see it till too late anyway. It's just the angle of the punch, the setup, the force behind it, the repetition. We trained that punch over and over and over. And it finally came out in the right timing.
One more for me, Dallas. Did you know after when that punch landed, did you know it was a wrap?
No, because we weren't looking for one shot. So my mentality in this fight, go ahead and give away early rounds. Not really necessarily give away, but my plan was to chop the tree.
Yeah.
We're chopping the tree. I'm not worried about a one shot, just swing away. And so even when I knocked him out, I put heat on that shot. Salas literally told me, all right, we're going into the second half. And then he told me, start putting a little more heat on these shots. And literally that round is when it happened.
Yeah.
But it was never one shot. So even when I landed that shot, I put some heat on it. That was a real shot, but it was you even saw I backed out after, and then I saw he kind of froze halfway. And that's when that killer instinct took over. I had to jump on it.
I was like, wow, that was just the follow-up. Amazing. One more, then I got you. Because I know you had to have seen him. You saw him sit up. When you saw him sit up, you felt like he was going to get up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could see the heart. You know, even when Lubin caught him and hurt him with several shots and he took that knee, he came back and you saw he came back in the fight. So I was in my head, I always picture the best possible form that they could come in, the opponent. Absolutely. I'm expecting the hardest puncher, the fastest guys, the smart. I'm expecting that way when you get in there, it can only be easier than what I've expected in my head. I'm expecting Mike Tyson in there every time.
Yeah.
And so, but you could see his heart said, get up. That's why he leaned up right away. Like the Undertaker, he leaned up. I was like, nah, this dude's getting up.
Yeah.
But the body wasn't responding. The heart can say one thing, but the body just wasn't there. And that's what you saw, that there's no way his legs could carry that.
In those earlier rounds, you were really slick. I've seen you spar a couple of times. I don't remember you being that slick. Is that something that you kind of improved on recently?
Oh, big time. Yeah. Since I came out here, I'm surrounded by so many Cubans and everything. It starts to take effect on you. But my thing over these last few years, like in previous fights, I would try to be too slick. And that's not who I am either. It's all about finding who you are, finding the right balance. And then you saw in this fight, like I was slick, but it was using a lot of movement and I wasn't trying to be like running in circles the whole night. So then we had to like fine tune it a little. You saw the rounds where I went from slick to staying there too much. And then I felt like finally like the end of the 6th maybe and starting the 7th, even though it was only 30 seconds in, but I feel like I lock into my rhythm. And you saw that against the fight before that against Rosario.
Yep.
I had a little flow going right before I knocked him out. It takes me like, I warm up, there's those feel out rounds, and then there's that moment where I really click and it's my true rhythm, but it's my rhythm. I'm not a Cuban with 400 amateur fights. I'm not just a tank that comes forward, tries to roll people over. There's like, it's like almost like a slick tank, if you want to call it that, but I got to be me. And that's what took me a little while to really learn.